I'm sure it will help.
You've come back. Time to put our best feet forward.
Please, take this. I'm sure it will help. How are you doing?
Let's do this again!
Well met. There you are. I just finished up a mission and was heading back. Standing here with you now takes me back to that day. You, Ina, and Manon's first mission. The three of you fought pretty well for being fresh out of basic training. I guess I'm the one who decided you were ready to get right in the action after seeing how well you did in the Trainia. But I didn't think you'd be in battle so soon after that. In the end, though, I think Crawford made the right call. That you and Manon could do that right after landing on the planet shows how resilient you two are. I hope the two of you keep doing what you're doing. And Dinah, too. She had just lost her father and sustained serious injury. From what I hear, she still didn't even know her way around her weapon yet. She displayed incredible fortitude and courage in that battle. But compared to you, Meteorn, she's still a work in progress. With some more experience, I'm sure the sky's the limit for her. Attitude is what's most important. She seems like she's in such a hurry to prove herself. In a way, she's trying to put what happened at Alio Town to good use, without being consumed by anger. Using anger and hatred as motivation always warps a person's soul. As long as she keeps focusing on improving herself, she'll be fine. Slow and steady wins the race. I need you and Manon to keep an eye on her. You know, I think something is weighing on Manon, too. I need you to lead the two of them by example.
Ah, it's you. I'm just going over some central canon data here. Well, since you're here, why don't I explain more about this weapon? We call it central cannon, but officially, it's apparently a single-mounted photon particle cannon. I say apparently, because it's part of the old lost technology. Who built it, when, and why still remains a total mystery to us. We use it as a communications tower, and it's an integral part of Central City life. It even extends to underground spaces like this one, almost like the nucleus of the city. When it was first discovered, it wasn't working. My grandfather, Vanford, was the one who began repairing it. Actually, it's probably more accurate to say it was incomplete, rather than not working. At first, quite a few of its parts were missing entirely. It's taken quite a lot of time to understand its structure and build the missing parts. We couldn't get it operational during my grandfather's or my father's time. So of course, the task now falls to me, and, well, let's say it hasn't been easy. We finally got it to the point where we can fire it, but there's still room for improvement. We're especially having difficulty with the durability of the parts we developed. Actually, we even tried a test fire once, a long time ago. have you noticed that mountain you can see from Central Tower, beyond the shopping plaza? Yes, that semicircular bite taken out of the mountain is a result of that test shot. We meant to fire at the lowest setting, but we accidentally fired at the highest output the cannon had at the time. The barrel was damaged and part of the control unit was broken. The incident showed our design's imperfections. I must say, that failure is not my proudest memory. But it did represent progress in the project, so my feelings about it are mixed. In any case, that failure allowed us to finally bring the cannon to a working stage. But unfortunately, we don't have time to iron out all the kinks. I'm going to need a lot of help to get the remaining repairs done. Your contributions will be invaluable. I'll be counting on your help once again. Ah, glad to see you. I was just wrapping up a few Central Canon details. Thanks to the data Ilma sent, I've been able to ferret out all manner of technical problems. And it's all thanks to the three of you. My sincerest thanks. You're right. I heard that you three and the 5 siblings worked to put it all together. How I met Ilma is kind of a funny story. One day, I saw that some anonymous comments had been made on data I'd uploaded to the library. The comments described errors in my work in meticulous detail. Incredulous, I re-examined my data, and sure enough, the commenter was right. Wondering who I was dealing with, I looked up the address. It had come from Kavaris. That immediately made me think of one person, of course. But I knew that Lysis, whom I had been in communications with before, had passed away. I contacted the lodge, and it was Ilma who answered. He told me that his mechanical skills were entirely self-taught. His free-spirited approach to problems was refreshing to me. I've been asking his advice on a variety of problems ever since. Including, of course, Central Canon. He's been working his way through the vast collection of research Lysis left behind. His ingenuity, combined with that logical mind, makes him second to none. I'd better work hard to keep up with him. Well, I suppose I should get back to working on Central Canon now. I have to make sure it's ready when we need it, right?
Oh, hey. It's you. How perfect. We were just looking for you. Correct. We're here seeking treatment for the wounded, as well as looking to resupply. Once we complete that, we have but to await their recovery. Wasn't there something you wished to discuss, Commander?
Yeah, there was. You, really helped us out the other day.
Wasn't there more?
We've had a lot of ups and downs during this campaign. We found ourselves constantly wounded and lacking supplies. Even after years of fighting, we hadn't made it to the interior of Stia. Before you three arrived, I was even considering withdrawing from the region. But my troops' morale was still high. I planned on one last offensive before they finally burned out. And then, you three showed up. I had heard rumors. You saved Ratem, and even survived a Dark Falls attack. Then, you even paved the way for the reconstruction of Kavaris. I was skeptical, but I didn't have any other options. So I figured I'd try my luck with the three of you. And, we all know how that turned out. Although the battle still isn't over, I need to say this. Thank you.
Yes, I owe you my thanks as well.
Yes. We haven't secured the entire Stia region yet. And the Dolls plant is still operational. We still have a lot of work to do. Conaway.
Sir.
I'm going to head back now. You oversee the treatment of our wounded and meet me there.
Yes, sir. Shocking. The commander almost never gives thanks to anyone. He does express gratitude sometimes, but I don't think I've ever heard him actually say the words, thank you. I suppose that demonstrates how much respect he has for you. Well, I'd better get going now. Let's meet again, soon.
It's you again. What are you up to this time? Nice. Good for you. Daily patrols are the best way to keep everyone safe around here. I appreciate you being so, proactive, even when you're off duty. Hey, thanks for your help. I mean about that incident with Nexalio in this forest here. I think I was overconfident back then. Rezel is a pretty bewildering forest, but I'd been here so many times I figured I had it all mapped out. And I knew everything there was to know about the dolls here. Or so I thought. But everything was different that day. The dolls were more powerful, and they completely jammed my comms. And of course, Nexalio. Nothing could have prepared me for that. We would kill one enemy and two would take its place. And pretty soon we were surrounded. I was sure we would be wiped out. If the three of you hadn't shown up, I have no doubt that would have been the case. My relationship with Nexalio goes back 10 years. The same thing had happened 10 years prior. A sudden invasion by Nexalio and dolls. At the time, Central City's defenses still weren't completed. We somehow managed to repel them after a fierce battle, but both sides suffered heavy losses. I also took part in the fighting, but I was no match for them, and so I didn't contribute much. My inability to see the bigger picture cost the lives of a lot of friends. And so, all those memories and feelings came flooding back to me during the battle the other day. There's a lot I need to reflect upon. I wouldn't be the person I am now without you three. You helped me to settle the score with Nexalio. I owe you my gratitude. Thank you. I'll pay you back someday on the battlefield, I'm sure. You have my word. I didn't know you were back in Alio. I hear you completed your assignment in Stia. They are the best of the best, but the numbers were not on their side. I'm sure your support was a huge help in that regard. It certainly was something to see Crawford act so decisively like that. Neil Steele was Crawford and Glenn's most hated enemy. At first, Crawford said he would let Glenn handle it. But the truth is that he really wanted to settle that old score by Glenn's side. Fortunately, Dahl's activity in Alio at the time was minimal. It was an opportunity that might have never come again. That's why I didn't hesitate to give my blessing to his decision. I'm glad the three of them were finally able to close that chapter of their battle. Crawford, Glenn, and Hibana. So, you knew about Hibana. Hibana and Glenn were close for a long time. She was always the type who wore her heart right on her sleeve. I'm not saying they were the same, but her straightforwardness was a lot like Ina's. When Glenn and Hibana met Crawford, the three of them started working together. Crawford and Glenn's relationship is still more or less the same as it always was. They've always gotten into it over differences of opinion. And it was always Hibana who would step in to mediate things. She had a knack for finding the compromise and getting them to shake on it. And she was really intuitive. She would just sort of throw a plan together and somehow, it almost always worked out. Which is the exact opposite of Crawford's unrelenting rationality, of course. Yet, they always seemed to get along. All three of them had very different personalities, but they just seemed to mesh with each other. Their teamwork in battle was especially impressive. Glenn would take the front, Crawford brought up the rear, and Hibana would float between them. And the three of them would just chew through the toughest dolls like that. It was a foregone conclusion that those three would one day lead Alio. But then, Hibana's death created a big void. Without her, Crawford and Glenn set off on separate paths that they each thought was best. Now that the score's been settled with Neil Stia, hopefully, that void can finally be filled. Looks like there's some trouble. I think I better get going. We'll finish this chat some other time. Until then.
Huh? Oh, it's you. I thought you were an enemy. I've already caused everyone quite a bit of trouble by being careless around enemies. Everyone is working so hard, and I'm just off searching for shiny minerals. But enough about that, I guess. No, just clearing my head a little. Being cooped up inside all the time makes my brain start to feel sluggish. I've been thinking about Central Canon a lot lately. We modified Aelio's Central Canon based on the lost Central Canon data that we found. They share some uncanny similarities. Their photon generator values and their capacitor unit photon charge rates, for example. I mean, the specs are pretty different, but the basic construction is the same. That's why the lost Central Canon data helped us fix our problems with the Aelio Canon. Which means these Central Canons were designed with some level of mass producibility in mind. Lost Central and Central City share a lot of similarities to begin with, both aesthetically and in terms of city design. Basically, Central City was built using Lost Central as a template. So it makes sense that they're similar, but that template wasn't designed by us. We just repurposed what was already there to use as Central City's infrastructure. All we really did was gather materials and build on top of the template that someone else created. You know, a huge container was found underneath Ritem City the other day. Know what was in there? Central Canon parts. And they were nearly identical to the Aelio and Kavaris Canon parts. I mean, you see how Ritem City is now, but I can't help but wonder if the original plan was to make it like Central City. Exactly. That's the inevitable question. I mean, someone other than the current inhabitants of Halpha. Someone who simply vanished, leaving massive structures all over Halpha. There's no doubt that these mysterious people existed, but we haven't been in a place to explore that mystery until now. With this new discovery, though, I think the time has come to get serious about figuring it out. What were they doing here on Halpha? And what happened to them? I have the feeling that we will need to know that information going forward. There's no guarantee that something worse than Dark Falls won't show up in the future. We need to know as much as we can in order to handle a wide range of possibilities. That's what I think. Oh, I'm sorry. There I go again on another one of my monologues. Once I get some things figured out, I'll try to explain a little more clearly. Well, the first thing to do is to try to find some leads. I'll be working on this together with Crawford and the Aelio research team. I'd like to include Ritem as well. Talking to you always helps clear my head for some reason. Thank you so much for listening. Time to head back to the lodge and start putting some ideas on paper. Take care.
not. Finish them off. Target eliminated. Nice. Success.